Okay, before I start with this one, I just want to say it might sound all incoherent, but that's mainly because I didn't really prepare all these videos. I rant on the fly. It's my style. Um, but anyway, to go back on all these on the anyways on the gaming press, um, they're not really helping us. I've talked about game movies. Game movies are one of the ways to mature a certain type of media, um, or to get it across a broader audience. Thanks to movies, comic books are now considered more mature. People are now able to see the Spider-Man series in a new daylight. It's not just some mindless uh, bad guy catching something. Um, it shows us that Peter Parker, for example, I take Spider-Man for example. It shows us that Peter Parker is a real person. It's of course he's a fictional person, but despite that, he's a real person. He has his own emotions, his own problems, and such. And well, it made the Spider-Man series more mature. It gave them it gave them drama and a dancing Peter Parker in part three, which was by the way hilarious. But that's not really something that was. I don't think that was their goal. Uh, but anyway, it helped mature the comic book world. world. I mean, without a movie, who would have who wouldn't who no. Well, without movie, yeah, it helped bring some, yeah, it puts it yeah, how do I say that? Anyway, before the movies, comic books were just seen as something only nerds would see. After that, it actually became pretty much a staple in our society. Comic books were a different way of telling a story, and stories that could be told through movies, but could also be told in panels. And movies actually helped people realize that comic books it helped them realize that comic books weren't just for nerds, and movies will also help video games appear appear more mature. But the gaming press just don't give it a chance. Um, there's only one video game movie that gets some praise. I don't really know if you can call it praise, but that one movie I'm talking about is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is a movie that is that's true to its source material. Aside from the front flips and back flips you constantly see, which probably is their only method of traveling through time and space. But anyway, the first Mortal Kombat movie was decent for a video game movie. It was true to its source material, and that's why it got some, well, praise. Um, but maybe it's because the movie industry wants to quickly cash in on video games, but people just keep on saying that video game movies just suck. True, there are some shit like the most viewable movies. Okay, I don't want to piss you off, Mr. Ball, but it's pretty much true. if you really want to create a video game movie, you should stick to its original source and don't pick a game that's pretty much shit in itself, because it wasn't really your fault that the Postal movie failed horribly. It's I have to admit that it wasn't your both fault that the Postal movie failed, because the story pretty much fails it in itself. But if we as a gamer would give some movies a chance, we might get surprised. I haven't seen the Hitman movie, but from what I've heard, it was a decent movie. It wasn't a bad movie. Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil, I admit it has nothing to do with Resident Evil. The only things uh, that that were Resident Evil were the T virus and the zombies and the monsters, but that's mainly it. But it was a decent movie. Max Payne wasn't a bad movie. Uh, it didn't really capture the Max Payne feeling, but yeah, tough luck. It's not a bad movie. It's a pretty decent movie. Silent Hill was a badass movie. I have seen it. It's not scary. It's not meant to be a horror movie. It's more like a drama thriller. Um, it has some scary moments, but uh, it's like the original. The original wasn't really that scary. The only thing that made it scary were the shock effects. But otherwise, it only had this that creepy vibe around it. That that's one thing they nailed in the Silent Hill movie. Yeah, the Silent Hill movie wasn't really that bad a movie at all. Um, I yeah, you should actually see the movie before you judge it. Sure, people might expect something more horror and such, and they expect a male protagonist instead of a female, and the history of Alyssa was a bit changed and such, but still it was a decent movie, and I have a feeling that if the Silent Hill label wasn't based on it, it would have fared way better. Not because the movie would be much better. It's just that people would give that movie a chance. But nobody really gave the movie a chance. Not even gaming press. If the gaming press would have said, "Well, it's a decent movie," it hardcore gamers would have thought that as well, or at least they would have given it a better chance. They wouldn't really say that they wouldn't blatantly scream that it sucks before they even seen the movie. It's like those Uwe Boll films. I've actually seen one article that shared my opinion on In the Name of the King, Dungeon Siege Tale. It wasn't a bad movie. In fact, it wasn't a good movie, but it didn't make you want to goggle out your eyes. Unlike some non-video game movies I've seen, some movies really are that bad. They are worse than Postal. Postal is a really bad movie, but I've seen a lot worse. So yeah. Anyway, next video will be the last video. I will try to round it up, probably with a recap, but you never know.